This week, the U.S. halted flights across the nation after failure of a key pilot notification system operated by the Federal Aviation Administration. Flights had to be delayed, leaving hundreds of passengers frustrated. Now, to help us understand what this key pilot notification system is and how it failed is aviation expert Puteho Mojapelo. Puteho, I appreciate your time this afternoon. Now, 1,230 flights were delayed. Well, let's talk about the implications of a delay of this magnitude before we talk about what the challenge was with that pilot notification system.
Look, U.S. is a very big country, and I think one of the things that people need to be aware of is that when you have a delay in one area within the United States, it really affects quite a number of other states that the airlines are going to operate in, and therefore it costs quite a severe amount of money for the airlines. I mean, they just came out of the heavy snow that made headlines recently. I actually I was over there when we were all stuck over there, couldn't come back home. So they haven't recovered from that, and this announcement by FAA on Wednesday evening, it was really a blow for some of those airlines that were heavily affected, the likes of Southwest, United, and other small operators that are within the state. So it's really a blow for those airlines that are really trying to recover after COVID, that we all know that it really caused quite a lot of havoc within the industry.
Now, how are these costs determined? How do the delays impact the airline in terms of cost?
So the U.S. Airlines operate in what we call a spoken hub system. Now, a spoken hub system is that the smaller airports would then bring the customers into the major airports around the United States. And it's not only in one area, it's quite a number of areas. Now, even the crews, they are not stationed within the same airports that they are operating in. They come from different airports. And therefore, what usually happens is that when the airlines that are operating from small airports are failing to bring customers to the main airports and the crew, sometimes it really causes quite a havoc within the operation systems. And therefore, it's a cost, because if you are not able to fly people, you are eligible to put them in hotels, give them the vouchers, meal vouchers, and so on. So that cost comes from the airlines. It's quite hectic for them to be able to absorb those costs, and therefore it is important that these things, they don't seem to continue to occur quite often, because it really, costs quite a lot of money for airlines.
Now, help us put into context what 1,230 flights delayed looks like when it comes to catching up on that lost time. So admittedly, some will then be permanently cancelled, but others will then have to fly. And the implications on the overall flight schedule must be absolutely massive.
So what normally happens is that the airlines would firstly look at the availability of the partners airline. Most of the airlines would have the alliance with other airlines. There's quite a big alliance, your Star Alliance, your One World, American Airlines operate One World, United operate Star Alliance. So what they would ordinarily do is they will first, if it's international, they would first put the passengers into a partnered airlines that they are partnering with, and that cost would then come out of the airline, operating airline, giving the partner airline those costs, and that obviously is not something that anybody would want to do in an ordinary operations. And when you look at the about over 1,000 cancellations, you look at the quite a significant amount of passengers that are not able to reach their destination. Some of them, they would opt to completely abandon their tickets and buy new tickets with other airlines, and later on maybe do the claim, or they would take a voucher to do that. But ordinarily, it's quite a huge amount of people that are not being transported to their desired destination based on whether it's the weather or inclement weather or it's the technical or any other issue like what they had with the FAA recently with the NOTAM system that was not able to function very well.
Well, that is the crux of the matter, the Notice to Air Missions System, or NOTAM, as you've called it. Talk to us about what is it and how does it affect flying?
So NOTAM is it's a system. So when the pilots get into an airplane, they go to the briefing room and obtain information about that specific flight. Now, one of those things that they obtain is the NOTAM. Now, NOTAM consists of the following. It's either on the path that they are going to follow or the airport that they are going to land in, there would be some obstacles that they may be noticed about and they need to be aware of before they can perform the flight. And that information is critical because sometimes you would get an information that would say maybe the Air Force One would be on the vicinity of the path that they will be following or trekking at that particular time, and they need to do a detour of 15 degrees left or right or something like that, and that information would be contained on that NOTAM information. Sometimes it's just when you are on your approach, it would be something like a crane that there's a construction taking place, so you need to be wary of that. So that is what NOTAM means. It simply means you need to be aware of certain changes that are not normal within your operations, because these things are not necessarily everyday thing. It's just once in a while. But you have to have that before you start your flight, before you do your flying. So you need to have that information. So in this case, in the US, FAA system that feed that information to the airlines was down, and therefore the airlines were not able to resume their duties based on the fact that they don't have adequate information to start the service. And the notice was sent to say they need to halt the operations from 6 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock. That's the Eastern time. And that caused quite a lot of disruption because the airlines were not able to move from the eastern part of the United States to other destinations. But this NOTAM, it contains quite a lot of information, which really, many of pilots association around the United States, they have raised a lot of concern about the information that is there. Sometimes it's not really important that much. You just need to be aware of this. But the manner in which they put it together, it's quite huge, and it really takes a lot of time to figure out what is it that it entails of that information. And it's something that the Pilot Association in the United States are challenging, and I'm sure very soon they would make a significant inroads in making sure that it gets corrected as soon as possible.
Poteho, now that we have you here, and before we let you go, I've basically got 60 seconds to ask you for a response. But a few months ago, South Africa's own aviation industry was in a bit of a turmoil. Care to comment on where we are at the moment? We see South African Airways is flying again.
Yeah, well, we do have 5 airlines operating currently. We've got South African Airways, Airlink, as well as SAF Air and SAM Air. And Lift. So those are 5 airlines that are operating. Currently, they have increased their capacity in terms of the fleet, and they have really went out of their own way to increase the capacity for both airlines, the aircraft as well as the passenger volumes. And during the December time, they have seen quite significant amount of income that were around the holiday times. And but these figures are not confirmed. It's just the prelim figures that we are going to hear more as they announce their financials very soon. But it has recovered quite significantly, and the prices has come down. If you were to book a ticket now, you would get it for much cheaper now on both airlines, SAA as well as the the other airlines that are operating, but the prices are very much low at the moment. This shows that they have indeed recovered.
Puteho Mujapelo, aviation expert, unpacking those issues for us. You're watching Newsfeed, the PM edition.